This is an NBC News special report. Here's Kate Snow.
Good day, everyone. We are coming on the air with breaking news about Hurricane Milton, the storm we've been talking about for days, a powerful Category 4 storm as of this moment. It has already started spawning a series of dangerous tornadoes touching down throughout south central Florida. The highest risk for those tornadoes runs through this afternoon. All of that, of course, ahead of the storm, ahead of the hurricane actually coming ashore, which is expected very late this evening or into tomorrow morning. Let's go to Dana Griffin in Naples, Florida. Dana, what do we know about these tornadoes? Have we had any reports yet of where they actually touched down?
So we're trying to get that information to you now, Kate. I can tell you that we were at Naples Beach just moments ago, and our phone started alerting because of the tornado warnings that were going off. We were seeing lightning at the beach, and the reason we were there was because several surfers were still in the water as that storm surge on the beach itself. Some 2-foot-high waves were coming through. Saw several people who were out there, and so that's why we left and came to a garage so that we could be safe. But we are getting alerts that there have been tornadoes that have touched down, as you mentioned, in south central Florida. We are in Naples, and because we are pretty close to that area, we got those alerts. So we haven't seen any particular funnel clouds or any sort of formations from this vantage point, but we are obviously taking this very seriously. And it is important for people that if you are in an area where you are getting that alert, you should be leaving the area or finding cover, because this is very serious. And this is ahead of Milton. We are already seeing the rain bands in certain parts of Naples. It's stopped for the moment, but this will likely be off and on throughout the day. Again, we are expected to get 5 to 8 feet of storm surge just because we are south of where that impact zone will hit in between Tampa and Sarasota. So it is obviously very concerning. Officials have already warned people, if you haven't got out, you need to leave now. I'll send it back to you, Kate.
Dana, thank you for that. And we're looking at some video on our screen. I'm trying to get a locator for what exactly we're looking at there, but clearly some folks are seeing what look like tornadoes. Let me bring in Al Roker for the very latest. Al, do we have a sense on the map of what part of Florida we're talking about?
Yeah, we're talking in the Fort Myers region right now, Kate. And in fact, this is really part and parcel of Milton, 160 miles southwest of Tampa with 145-mile-per-hour winds, moving northeast at 17. We have tornado watches right now in north of Tampa all the way down to Key West till 9 p.m. But take a look at these areas in red. These are all tornado warnings. In fact, this from my colleague Bill Cairns. There is a particularly dangerous situation warning. Media confirming a large tornado that started over near Fort Myers and heading toward Acadia. So we're watching these systems now starting to develop. As you can see, as this storm is getting closer, usually the northeast quadrant is the most dangerous part of the storm. And as that system is making its way, this is that northeast quadrant. So we have for today this area from Melbourne to Englewood to Fort Myers, Moorhaven, Fort Pierce, all in this area, an EF2 or greater tornado possible. I just want to make sure, see if we didn't get some more information in here. We're, in fact, near Clewiston, Florida, also about an hour ago, they had a wedge tornado on the ground. So this is a very strong developing situation right now, ahead of the hurricane, actually Milton, actually making landfall. We're expecting, again, landfall sometime around late tonight, early tomorrow morning, Kate. But right now, the main concern are these tornadoes that are firing up and will continue right through this evening, Kate.
Al, thank you so much for that. We're looking at video, Al. I don't know if you have a monitor and you can see this, but it's out of Alligator Alley. Can you just give us a sense for what we're looking at? I mean, just from a meteorological standpoint, that looks like a tornado to me.
Unfortunately, I don't have a video return feed in this studio, but I'm sure if it is what I'm thinking, it's probably a large wedge right now. And the danger as this system moves in, these storms become rain-wrapped. And so they're much harder to see. If we can go to the radar again, Donnie, our meteorologist down that's running this for me, we are looking at more of these storms firing up. And here's the storm surge right now. So not only do we have to worry about the tornadoes, but we've got storm surge 10 to 15 feet, 8 to 12 feet up around Sarasota. High tide is going to be coming in around 6:51 a.m., but it will be rising by the time this thing makes landfall, Kate.
All right, Al, thank you so much. We're looking at a lot of scary-looking video coming in from, obviously, users, people on cell phones taking pictures of dark clouds and even forms that look tornado-like. Let's go to Tom Yamas in Sarasota, Florida. Obviously starting to rain. You're starting to feel those outer bands, Tom. You're not where this you're, I think, just barely in the cone of this tornado threat, but have you seen anything there?
Yeah, I was about 18 floors up about 4 or 5 minutes ago, looking out over the horizon. You could see ominous clouds, but you didn't see any kind of twister shapes. But I do have to tell you, Kate, that we're still 12 hours from landfall, and we're now talking about potential tornado touching down on both the west coast and the east coast of Florida. It speaks to the type of emergency situation that we're in right now. We're still 12 hours, again, from a potential landfall, and we're dealing with tornadoes. We talked a lot about this week about those debris pileups that were happening all around Tampa and Sarasota. And what's sort of wild is that we were worried about the storm surge and the hurricane force winds. But if you think about those debris piles and a tornado, that's even more dangerous, right? Because you have essentially those landmines in front of homes and all across neighborhoods, and they're going to be the potential for, like I said, projectiles, missile-like objects going into windows, going into homes. It's another reason why people have to get off the road right now. Yesterday, I was told that they were going to pull crews off the streets from picking up those debris piles once the tropical storm force winds sort of hit the area. But now that we have this tornado threat, I got to think they've brought all those crews in. So all that debris that's been out there, and a county official told me they only picked up about 5% of it. So there's a lot of just debris and trash all over these neighborhoods is going to stay out there as we're battling now both a hurricane and potential tornadoes that are striking the Sunshine State right now.
Yeah, Tom, I want you to stay with me if you can, but I want to mention that our weather unit, our climate unit here at NBC News has just confirmed that this is an outbreak of tornadoes. They're calling it an outbreak. They're saying there have been 10 or more tornadoes spotted. As Al was pointing out, it's sort of a swath across the middle of Florida, south central Florida that we're talking about. People in that area should be getting alerts on their phones to tell them to take cover and to get inside. To go back to you, Tom, can we talk about what is coming later tonight in terms of the storm surge, right? That's the water that gets pushed by a hurricane. What are you expecting where you are?
Yeah, anywhere from 8 to 15 feet right now, right? It just depends exactly where Hurricane Milton lands. If it wobbles left, if it wobbles right, if it's closer to Tampa, if it's south of Tampa, it's going to impact all those communities that line the Gulf Coast of Florida right now. And even just a few miles north or south that moves, it could really impact people's lives. And so that's what we're waiting for. You know, people have said you cannot survive this type of storm surge. You need to leave. And I'll tell you how drastic the situation is. On some barrier islands, they weren't going to risk people not evacuating. So in some communities, they've actually cut the water off to essentially tell residents, you can't live here anymore. You have to get off the barrier islands because you will not survive that storm surge. But, Kate, going back to what you were saying, we cover tornado outbreaks in Tornado Alley and, states in the South and the Midwest as a major news event because they're highly dangerous. To now talk about a tornado outbreak happening here in Florida hours before a potential landfall, it speaks to what type of critical situation we're in here in Florida. And you got to remember, some people waited to the last minute to evacuate. Hopefully those people are out on the roads. We've been locked down where we are right now in Sarasota. We've made the decision to kind of stay put and cover the storm over the next several hours as it rolls in, because at times it can be too dangerous to be out there on the road. So I really hope people that are trying to get out get to where they need to be. We're in a hotel right now, and I got to tell you, about maybe 2 hours ago, I saw a family load up their car and take off. I really hope that they're not going to drive for too far, because like we said, just south of us, you have that tornado outbreak.
Yeah, no, you make a very good point, Tom, that this is historic, right? This is a history-making giant hurricane that is going across the entirety of the state, the central part of the state of Florida, from west coast to east coast. Al Roker, let me bring you back in. To that point, the weather unit is saying this is an outbreak, 10
Yes.
or more tornadoes. Tom was talking about the coastal area, but this is affecting potentially inland areas, too.
Take a look right here, Kate. Again, we have this tornado watch that extends well up along the eastern part of Florida, but all the way down to the Keys. But these areas in red, these are tornado warnings. This is where either they're radar indicated or there have been visual sightings. And again, one of the problems that we talk about with climate change induced storms like this, that these hurricanes now, we've had at least 2 of these hurricanes produce one EF3 tornado, which is unheard of, has not happened before. And now we're looking at this outbreak happening. And since we've been on the air, we've seen the increase in tornado warnings coming up. And these are going to continue right on into this evening, because as long as this area is to the northeast of the tornado, of the hurricane of Milton, that's where we have the most instability. And because this is such a really dynamic, volatile system, that we're going to be looking at more and more of these tornadoes firing up into this evening, Kate. And again, as it gets darker and they're rain wrapped, they're even going to be harder to see. So this is really a rough point. And to Tom's point, talking about landfall and where we could see the greatest storm surge, right now it looks like it makes landfall somewhere between Venice Beach and Sarasota, with as a Category 3 storm about 10 p.m., 11 p.m. tonight till about 1 to 2 a.m. Now, if that system stays like that, we are going to be looking at the storm surge impacts that happen right along between Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. But again, if this moves to the north of Sarasota, I should say of St. Petersburg and Tampa, it's going to be a rough time. Right now, it looks like most of that moisture, those winds, are going to push into Port Charlotte, to Fort Myers, to Bonita Springs. But if it moves a little further to the north, well, look out. Sarasota to St. Petersburg and Tampa, that's where we're going to see the biggest storm surge coming in. And so that's where we have the problems. That's going to be, and this is only a 10 to 15 mile difference, Kate. So, but right now, the main concern, these tornadoes that are cropping up even as we speak.
Yeah, Al, I'm just struck by your map with so many things going on that map all at the same time. As we said, to recap, an outbreak of tornadoes right now, 10 or more already spotted in Florida. This as the hurricane makes its way, maybe 10 hours away from the hurricane hitting, we've now got tornadoes. That concludes this NBC News special report. We will have much more ahead. You can always find us on our streaming network, NBC News Now. That's where I will be. You can go online, NBCnews.com. A full wrap-up tonight on Nightly News with Lester Holt. I'm Kate Snow. Thank you for watching.